Hey fifth graders, it's me again, Mrs. Trombley, and today we're going to look at subtracting mixed numbers with common denominators. So you will need your Unit 1 workbook page packet. We're going to finish page 19 when we started yesterday, and you need a pencil, and you are going to have to finish your 1/6 sheet, so you can grab that afterwards. And just a reminder, I don't mind if you complete these problems yourself and then maybe pause in between and press play to check your work. I do mind if you never come back to check your work. So please make sure you are watching the lessons. Don't pull the I got this card. Always check just to make sure. All right, so we're gonna look at problems 10 through 17 today. For number 10, it says 3 2/3 minus 1 1/3. The first thing I notice about this one is I am subtracting 1 from 2. And I can do that. I'm not trying to take a higher digit away from a lower digit. So I'm not going to rewrite this one. I would just go ahead and say, okay, 3 minus 1 is 2. And then for my 2/3 minus 1/3, if I have 2/3 and take 1/3 away, I would have 1/3 left. That's it. That one's all set. But when I look at number 11, I see in my fractions here that I'm supposed to try to take 5/6 away from 1/6. And you can't take 5 away from 1. So this is one where I would recommend you set it up vertically. So off to the side here, I'm going to write 5 1/6 minus 3 5/6. Yes, I wish they gave you a little more space in these workbook pages, but we'll do the best that we can. All right, since I can't take 5/6 away from 1/6, that means I need to borrow. So when I borrow from this 5, it does become 4. But remember, I'm giving 1 whole to this 1/6. That doesn't mean I'd have plus 1 2/6. It means I'm adding 6/6 because that represents 1 whole. So the problem I'm really solving here is 4 and I would take 1/6 plus 6/6, 7/6 minus the 3 5/6. Now I can solve it. So I'm going to take care of these fractions first. 7 minus 5 is 2, and I keep my denominator the same. 4 minus 3 is 1. So 1 2/6. Now, I don't know if you notice, maybe you do because we've been talking about simplifying fractions a lot during our bell work, but there is a number that goes into this 2 and 6. It's 2. So instead of 1 2/6, which I would totally accept it right now, okay? But there's a better way to say it. You could divide them both by 2, and I'm gonna write my answer going the other way because I'm gonna be out of space. I could actually write this as 1 and 2 divided by 2 is 1 and 6 divided by 2 is 3. So 1 1/3 would be the best way to say that. 1 2/6 is not wrong, but that's simplest form. All right, let's take a look at the next one. I have 2 3/4 minus 1 3/4. Now when I look at this, I notice those are the same. I'm not trying to take away a higher from a lower, so there's not going to be any borrowing for this one. This is a nice one, actually. 2 minus 1 is 1, and anytime I subtract a number from itself, it's nothing. So if you take 3/4 minus 3/4, that's actually 0. And if you have 1 plus 0, that's just plain old 1. That's it. That's the answer to that one. All right, for number 13, most people just want to say, well, 4 minus 2 is 2, and then I have 3/8 left. That's not how it works. And if you set this up vertically, I think it's a little easier to see that. I'm taking 4 minus 2 3/8. I can't subtract 3/8 from nothing. This is a problem where you would need to borrow. So I'm going to borrow from this 4 and make it 3. And next to it, do you see how my denominator here is 8? Well, when I fill my fraction in here, if I borrowed 1 whole, that would mean I borrowed 8/8. Now we can go ahead and just solve it. 8 minus 3 is 5. My denominator never changes. And 3 minus 2 is 1. So 1 5/8 is what you should have. For number 14, when I look at this, I see 7 minus 5. I can do that. So I'm not going to rewrite this one vertically because I'm not going to have to borrow. So 15 minus 10 is 5. 7/9 minus 5/9 is 2/9. That one's done. Number 15, I have 12 2/5 minus 8 4/5. I cannot take 4 away from 2, so I would rewrite this one vertically. I'm going to rewrite this as 12 2/5 minus 8 4/5. And I'm just doing this because it makes it easier to see when I'm borrowing. I'm going to borrow 1 from this 12. It's now 11. And to my 2/5, I would have to add 1 whole that I borrowed from the 12, which would be 5/5. So the new problem that we're solving is 11 and, if you have 2/5 plus 5/5, that means 7/5 minus 8 and 4/5. Now we can solve it out. 7/5 minus 4/5, well 7 minus 4 is 3, and my denominator never changes, and 11 minus 8 is 3. So 3 and 3/5 is what you should have. All right, we're gonna solve a couple of word problems, a couple of math stories I like to call them. It says write an equation and solve. Use a whole or mixed number in your answer. A bag contained 6 2/3 cups of flour. Scout used 2 1/3 cups to make some bread. Scout used, that seems pretty important. How much flour was left in the bag after she made the bread? So it says that she used 2 1/3 and wants to know how many is left. Those are some keywords for subtraction. So it says to write an equation and solve it. The equation we would be solving, well, we start with 6 2/3, and we're gonna take away, we're gonna use 2 1/3. And we need to solve this. So when I look at this, I'm looking at my fractions here and I see I don't have to borrow anything. It's 2/3 minus 1/3. So I can just solve this like it is. 6 minus 2 is 4, and 2 minus 1 is 1, and my denominator never changes. 4 1/3, and it's asking how much flour was left, and we're talking about cups, so 4 1/3 cups of flour. Cups of flour. All right, number 17. On Monday, Tammy worked 4 1/4 hours on a project. On Tuesday, she worked 1 3/4 hours. How much time did she spend on the project in all? Boxing those keywords. How much project time did she spend in all? Well, she spent 4 1/4 and another 1 3/4. So if I want to know in all, that means I want to add those together. So my equation would be 4 1/4 plus 1 3/4. In solving this out, when I put my whole numbers together, 4 plus 1 is 5. And 1/4 plus 3/4 would give me 4/4. Now I'm hoping that that 4/4 is jumping out at you right now. You're like, whoa, we cannot leave that. That is not simplest form. 4/4 is actually equal to 1. So instead of saying 5 4/4, I would say 5 plus this next 1 here. And 5 plus 1 makes 6. And the unit we're dealing with, it said 4 1/4 hours. So 6 hours would be your final answer. All right, you're all set. See you soon.